Hello everyone, this is Stephanie from Hightower Stitching, and today I'm going to do a revisit of the mug rugs, and could call this making a quilted mug rug 101. Some of you are way past it. Some of you, this might remind you to just try it again. Some of you may get the idea to do this, to make them. And it's just a reminder. Yeah, I've been having so much fun because my sister-in-law started up on some for gifts, and that reminded me that that's a good thing to do when I don't have any big projects. And I wanted to work on little things, you remember I've said, so that's what I did. So to start with, just want to look at some examples of mug rugs, and you're going to have plenty of your own. But these might help you to think of some things to do. And the first one I was going to show you, these are blocks that I made for a tote bag. And they are the block from it. And I just took the block and I put a backing on it. And then for these, I just went and stitched in the ditch. Just a little bit. I didn't have to do every side. And then I put the binding on there. And that's one of the things I want to share with you today is the binding I'm putting on there, because it's gotten easier and easier instead of harder. I will tell you, though, that I found that a 6.5-inch square is the nicest to work with. You get smaller than that, and it's a little harder to work with to put your binding on. So I had 2 of those blocks, and so I made 2 of those for a gift. That had 1-inch lines in it for that was the courthouse steps log cabin. Then this one was left over from a bag that I made, and these are wider. These look like they're about maybe 1.5 inches or 1.25 inches probably. And then I just put a plain back on it, and then just to there again, just stitched some of the lines in there, because this is I doubt this is ever going to be a forever gift. It could be, though. And then I went and I put the binding on, and you can see there again, the binding looks really good. I'm actually proud of the binding. And I ended up with 2 of those. You don't have to make 10. You can make just 1. Here's this one I'm really proud of. This was from one of those quilts that we've seen, and I had some blocks left. And so I went and I put, it had the cream on it already. So I found some material that would go with it on the back. You just choose what you want, and laid it as a sandwich. And then I came in there and I just took and free motion quilted around in there any way that I wanted to. Once I got that done, then I trimmed it down to a good 6.5 inches, trimmed it so it was, and then did the binding. And that one I got lucky because I ended up with 2 sets. I had that one, and then I just did a different one, and I changed the quilting that happened on there. So that was a fun one, and it was nice to see it again because I liked it. And also, you can use up pieces of other quilts that you put together. You may not remember right offhand if you didn't see it. There was a quilt that I did that had green, and these were actually the pieces from the corner. It had a rectangle, and then it had a box you put on the corner, and this was one of those stitched down the middle and then cut that edge off, that corner. And this is the one I was telling you about not wasting my fabric. Look at all the fabric that I had. There's some more of it. And these were just made pieces that were left, because when I made the stitch from diagonal to diagonal, then I just stepped over one little place and did another running stitch. So when I started cutting everything apart, I could just cut right down through there. And then I opened them up, and there I am. And I had a bunch of those, and they became one that looks like this. Now this is about a 5-incher, because that's how small the squares were. And I put 4 of the squares together, and I did it like this fan. And the back, this is funny, you may have seen some of this material before. And then that's what I put on the edge too. And that one I've made 2 so far. And then the last one, and this is the one I'm going to do a little demonstration on, because you've seen I like to do these kind of things. This is the one where I just start from the very beginning. This was not a sample, sample block. This was just the back fabric, a layer of batting. Great way to use up some of your batting. Great way to use up some of your thread that, that you've already got wound and you can just use it. And it's a great way to use up some leftover binding if you have a color that will look very good with it. But these were some of those 1-inch strips that I like to cut when I get at the end. I see what I can cut as 2-inch or 2.5-inch blocks. And then I go ahead and cut the rest into strips. And so they're different lengths. And this is one of those. And this is the one I'm going to demonstrate in just a minute. And then I put the same thing on the back because this had little sayings on it. Nurture your creativity, enjoy, be bold, be curious. That was really cute. And I was able to make 3 of those. And those I made basically the same, but they didn't have to be exactly the same because like I had enough to do, all 3 corners look like they're they're not quite in the same, but it doesn't matter because it's really nice. And I want you to know that these, even with 1 layer of batting in there, your cups are not going to tip over, whether you've got hot chocolate tea or whatever. And if you want to put something else on there, you can. And then here was the second one. And here again, I repeated it. And I said, okay, well, I think I'm going to do the purple this time. And it's the ones with sayings on it. And so I just started putting those together. And that's what I want to show you now. And if you have never done this, you'll enjoy it because it goes pretty fast and it's fun to pick out the colors. This is the set that I'm working on right now. And this is the first part I've gotten done. And so this is where I'm going. And I started with some things that like stamps on the back, just using up some of the material. I probably would not use that for anything. And then I've made my binding so I can show you that. And as I move over to the sewing machine, I have the backing on the back. I've got my batting in the middle. And then I have the main color that I want to start with, or a color I want to start with. And in this case, I decided that I wanted to see more of the writing than I did on the others. So I made it a little wider. And you have the flexibility to make things wider or to make them narrower. And those make great accent pieces. So the first piece is going to lay straight up. And this is one of those quilt as you go methods. And then I've got my next strip's going to be purple. So I turned it face down and set it right on there. And I'm going to seam right across there. And I put in a gold thread because I had it left from something else, and it really looks nice on the back of that one. So that I didn't have to wind that up. So I'm going to quickly go down through here. And then I'm just going to take and I'm going to open it, and I'm just going to finger press it. There is no reason to have to go to the ironing board until you get finished if you want to then. So now, and I can either go the way I'm going or I can turn it around and go the other way. Well, while I was making the first one, if I had pieces left of it or long enough that I could use anywhere on there, then I just put those in a pile and I can pull from those. And then if I don't have one that has the right size, then I can go pick another one out of my boxes. And both of my boxes are sitting here behind me, and they are just full. For example, here's a little wad. And there are 2 boxes, and I don't have to worry about it when I get ready to do something. So I'm just going to take and pick up one more. Let's see, that one's too short. And you can pick any color you want to, or like I said, pick the other. And you're just going to lay this down on there and then stitch it again. I'll do one more. And that was pieced, and it doesn't matter. Then press it back. and you're ready to go. And once you get it all done, you're going to have ends sticking out. So you're going to you can take it and turn it over, get your straight edge, and cut right along the edge right there. See how it stays together? So your 6.5 inch square that you started with is what you end up with. But if you end up cutting off some at the end, it doesn't matter, because 6 to 6.5 inches is a good thing. Now I'm going to change, and I'm going to go back to the other one where I'm ready to do the binding. And this is what I've gotten to like binding. That's kind of hard to believe. What I do is I take the end and I turn it down like about 1/4 of an inch. And you don't need it right now, but it's going to be nice when you get back all the way around. So you've got it, and you've got a crease line in it. And I'm going to work on the back side of this mug rug. And I'm going to come over on one side, and I'm going to push this down just a little bit towards the middle. Then might be a little different than what you do. I'm going to come over here to the corner and do the corner. I'm not going to start at the fold. And I'm going to turn this, let's see, I'm going to slide it under, and I'm going to be close to the corner. And what I want to do is find out where I am when I'm 1/4 of an inch from this edge. So I just sort of put my finger there and keep an eye on it. And then that might be one of the times you don't want to use the fast speed on your thing. Once you get to about 1/4 of an inch, this is the one that makes it so easy when you get ready. Then just tilt it so you make a diagonal off the corner. All right, and for some of you, this is exactly the way that you do your binding, and it gets really fast. Then take your binding, hold it like this, and you remember that little angle you did? Fold it back on that angle so it looks squared up almost. You could see how this is a straight line right here and right there, and then take and fold it back down. Till you get it looking like a nice corner. And then you're going to now we're going to keep going. We're going to go 1/4 of an inch or less all the way to the next corner, and then we're going to stop 1/4 of an inch from the corner. We're going to angle off. Okay, have a drink of coffee there for a minute while I keep going. And I folded it again, and I folded it back, and now I'm going back down to the next corner. And now I'm going to 1/4 of an inch. Stop, pivot your sewing, come off the corner at a diagonal, and then pull it away. Look at it and fold it on that diagonal. So you've got a nice corner there. Gosh, I hope I made enough. Oh, I think I did. You got to make enough to go you have to have enough binding to go all the way around. I thought I added enough of a piece on there. And I'll stop, pivot. Patience will pay off because we're almost to the end. And if it's not quite there, you just fold it until you get it just like you want it, folding it back and forth. All right, now here again, we're not going to go all the way to the end of that little tail that's hanging up there. We are going to go, and we're going to fold it. There's your first fold. We're going to fold the second fold right next to it so I know where my seam needs to be. And make sure you can see it really well. And if you want to, you can go ahead and cut it off to 1/4 right now, or you can wait just a minute. But before we do anything with that, we've got it set up. We're going to do what we did before. We're going to come, and we're just going to do that corner, and we're going to stop. We got the corner all set up. Now here's the finishing touch. I love this. You're going to take your two pieces, and once you get used to doing it, it's neat. You're going to open them up, and you're going to put them face to face. Well, when you get them open up, put them face to face. And then one thing that makes this easier is the part you're going to attach it to. If you sort of bend it the other away from there, bend it a little bit so it's out of the way, because what we want to do is where we made those creases. Now we'll hold it together, and you get better and better at it, because I use 2 1/4 inch to make my binding. I forgot to tell you that. You don't need 2 1/2 inches for the binding. Then slide it over. And sometimes I pinned it. No, that's when I was doing ones that were small. But when you do a 6 1/2 inch, you have plenty of room. Now we're going to just sew that. I think we're going to sew that seam. Why aren't we sewing, guys? Okay. There we go. And now when I start to open it up, watch what happens. Wow, it's like magic to me. After I fought with putting them together so many times in so many ways, and doing the other way too, but this one just falls into place. I press it open with my fingers, and now it's laying flat. So now we just need to come and take and finish up that edge. So I go back to where I stopped before, and I'm going to run it to where I started, right there. And so now I got this neat looking thing, and we're going to move it. We're going to go to the front, and I go around and do like a little box. Fold the sides up, and you get little corners. And then I pick a side to do, and I don't use the one that has the seam in it. I'll tell you right now. I start with a nice, easy one to do. And I start part of the way down, and I can see my stitching from the back. And you can fold it to that, or you can fold it past that. It doesn't matter. And now I've got it ready. I'm going to lay it down and get ready to start it. But in the meantime, I'm going to be looking down here at my first corner. And I like to kind of square it up with my finger. And then I tip the part towards me down first. And then smooth it over to the edge. And all of a sudden you can sort of see this little crease and everything. And then I start and I pull it back. Now this one we just got really lucky with, because this material's laying well, and you can't see from my finger, but I got a really pretty corner right there. And I'm going to go ahead and stitch. And the reason it's so loud is because you're going through all those stitches, and right where that thread is, that other thread, and I just get there to the corner and turn. And I hope you can see what we got there so far. Then I come to the next one, and I just fold it up. And I usually run it a little ways before I worry about doing the corner, because you have to hold on to the corner once you get it ready. So let's see, I've come that far. And I'm going to box up my corner, and I'm going to lay it down. Hope my fingers are out of the way. And then finish that one. Now I'm going to take my index finger and poke that part in, because it makes that little nice crease right there. And it did it again. Does it work every time? Well, more than it did when I started. Let's put it that way. And I want to go one more stitch in that corner. This is going to be one, so I'm trying to take it easy. Now I am going to have a little knot there. And I love this. One of the things I saw on one of the videos, that when you have a thick place, now this was not thick like some of them, but if you just mash down on it, it'll make it easier for your needle to come over. And the lady that I saw, actually, when she had something that was really thick, she had a little hammer, and she'd hammer it. Well, I'm not going to hammer near this machine, but I will press down on it. So now I've got it folded, and let's see what kind of noise it's going to make. And there's the knot, that thick part. Okay, I'm going to box up my corner, lay down the piece towards me, and then work it over there. And I can tell it's not quite right, so I sort of keep working with it, and you'll figure out which way to move it to get it better. And if it's not perfect, you had 4 chances, and I figure 3 out of 4 is pretty good, especially for what we're doing, whether you're learning a new one or not. And then we're down to the last corner. Here again, I had a knot because I had to, I say knot, but a tough spot, because I had to piece some of the binding to make sure I had enough to get around. And then, okay, I'll box it up. Push your other index finger over to make that block on the corner, and then lay it down. And then I can live with that. Start right there. And turn the corner, because I've got to get back to where I started from, because remember, I did not start in the corner. And I have gone all the way around, and I want you to see how pretty the top is, because it's right around the edge. And then when you look at the back, it's just as pretty too, because if you hear that loud bumping noise, it's traveling down where the other thread was. But on this particular one, it didn't even matter. And I don't know how many people will look at the back of it except another quilter, because that's what we do. And that's the end. And these are ones that were made from blocks that I had, and they just turned out cute, just one after another, all different kinds. Because even if you give them to them for people for fun, if they're sort of funny like this, they're not going to worry about messing them up, and they can go in the washing machine and be washed. So this is a little update on the mug rugs. Hope you enjoyed that. If you liked anything, had fun, again, subscribe, hit like, leave comments. We had some really good comments from last week's video. I did not know that was called chicken scratch. So that really widened my world. Now I know what to look up. Thank you for watching.